Welcome to Real and Raw. Your story is your medicine, the podcast with Letizia. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Real and Raw podcast. And I'm so excited today. I have such a beautiful, dear sister of mine here with me. Her name is Adriana. And yeah, Adriana, she is a Colombian psychologist, an environmental activist, writer, and musician. And for the past 10 years, she has been cultivating the ability to live an independent and natural life. Based on research and self-experimentation, she has pushed the boundaries of what is normal today and establishing and opening a new path for people to live with more consciousness and coherence in daily life. Oh, yeah, it really is just so beautiful that it really encapsulates who you are. And as I just said before, like you're and so much more that you are. And I'm so grateful to have you here because, yeah, I really feel like, you are that kind of woman who just really embodies all of that. Like you're not just talking about that, but you living all of that. And yeah, and just by that, like really setting the tone and like planting seeds for something else, for like opening a new way of being and a new way of living. And so yeah, hello Adri, it's so good to have you here. And
Hi, Letizia.
yeah, and I just want to like open it up for you as well. If there's anything else you want to share, like share a little bit more about yourself. Like, yeah, there was like this intro, what you do, but like if you want to go a little bit more into details, like what you do, who you are.
Thank you so much for having me. Hey, everyone who's listening. Well, that was, thank you for introducing me. That's pretty much it, but I would say that I'm really committed to like Mother Earth as a being, as a presence, as a, something that is kind of like encapsulating all of us into a same energy, and that life on earth cannot be like good if we're not taking care of her, if we're not taking like the thoughts of her in everything that we do and in everything that we strive for, because humans are kind of like too, yeah, like just like close-minded only about humans kind of, so they don't really see that there's so much more that is affected by our actions. And that's kind of like not my purpose, but my motivation to make all these changes that I have made in my life is just for being in coherence to her, and in respect to nature, to have a meaningful and good relationship with her.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you. And yeah, and I feel like it's so needed. And like you just said, like we are, yeah, I really believe that we're just so disconnected. Like we feel like we are not part of nature, like seeing us as like an entity outside of her, when in fact we are nature. And yeah, so yeah, beautiful. And actually there's a topic that I really want to talk to you about, and which I love that you just shared the other day on one of your Instagram posts, and I loved it so much. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want to talk to you about. And I feel like it's so needed, and like a lot of women don't really have that information, and it's like really lost wisdom, and that it's important to bring it back, and like to, yeah, it's about free bleeding, right? And like really listening to our womb. And yeah, I'm actually just gonna give it to you, like if you want to share that, your experience, and like, yeah.
Sure. Okay, so Prebleeding, it sounds like a crazy thing, because people think that we're just like bleeding everywhere and like leaving blood freely everywhere. But it's not really like that. The whole point of free bleeding is kind of like being really aware of our bodies and not needing anything like external to like have our normal menstruation moment, and that is something that is never being told to women of this age, and I include myself in that. Like probably many women my age, when they were like teenagers and they got their periods, their moms say like, okay, so you got this now, now you're a woman and you have to wear these things to like get the blood, and don't tell anyone, kind of like just, you know, like a very transactional attitude to it, and a disempowering attitude towards it, because it's kind of like, okay, you know, the blood is gonna come out of you and there's nothing you can do, kind of, right? And that's what we thought all of our lives. You know, I got my period when I was 11, so it would be 20 years of my life that, you know, well, no, I mean, I've been doing the free bleeding for a couple of years now, so it's not the whole 20 years, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
most of my menstruating years, I was just like, okay, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And how I got to that is, again, because my motivation is just to respect the earth. So when I was around 21, 22 maybe, I got into just teaching like disposable products for menstruation, because I really felt that I was making so much trash, and I didn't feel good with myself, you know, to do that. And I was like, this is not me, you know, I cannot do that. So I changed and I started using the cloth pads,
Right.
and that was my motivation. But then after I started like using that and being more in touch like with the blood and more aware of her and the smell and everything, it become something really natural and really like just, you know, part of me. It was not disgusting at all, and the smell is not disgusting when you're not
Right.
using those disgusting products. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so that journey kind of like took me into like the more spiritual, more ancient part of it without even me looking for it, but that's where I end up. And then a few years back, when I was reading an article, but I think this woman is from Spain, she has a book about it, and she had an article about this pre-bleeding thing, and she explained how actually our womb has the same message that, for example, our bladder, to when we want to like pee.
Right.
So we have the feeling, and we know the feeling of the bladder getting full, and it goes to our brain and it's like, hey, I'm full. So we're like, oh, okay, so we go to the bathroom, or we say that we need to go to the bathroom, you know, if we're not in the condition of going. And that was just like, right, I
Wow.
mean, how could the body not be prepared for something that is gonna come out of it? It would be so not efficient to something just come out of the body, you know. It makes so much sense,
But
right?
totally, like, wow, when you just say that now, it's like, aha, duh, exactly. Like, why would just
The,
like, yeah. And,
yeah.
and usually also like when we just like, let's say for example we have to pee and we cannot like hold it, that means something is actually there, like there's a reason, or like something is quote unquote wrong, you know. So
Yes.
yeah, why is it not the same with, why haven't we thought about that? Or yeah, it's yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
we
it's
were
how
not
they teach us
exactly, we're
when,
not
you
being
know, so
not
we
been
never
taught.
actually thought of the possibility, you know.
Exactly.
And so now that we know, we have to like just process that at the beginning and say like, oh, we can actually feel when the blood is coming. And then there's another myth that people think, is that the blood is coming out all the time, and that's not
Right.
true. It comes in flow, like in different waves, and especially when we start like evacuating the blood consciously, the blood will come in like in longer periods of time, like with longer breaks, because we will release a lot of blood when we evacuate it, and then it will like stay, you know, a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours, and then we evacuate again. So it's actually, if you imagine it like I don't know, like a fabric or something, it's like, okay, release, and then, because before, when we were not in control of it, it was like, not all the time, but you know, like sometimes it would like get out a little bit, get out another little bit, because it's actually bleeding out. It doesn't want to bleed out without us being conscious, but it has to go out. So
Right.
so that's why we have that impression that the blood is all the time, but it's not. When we start like consciously evacuating, the periods of not bleeding are longer and the evacuations are a little bit bigger. And what I have been achieving in the last moons is that I can sleep through the night, and I'm not bleeding through the night. It waits for me, you know. Of course, in the morning I'm like, okay, I have to go right away to the bathroom, but it really doesn't come out. And that makes total sense, right? To be like on control of our bodies.
Totally, yeah. You know, I mean, I've read about that already, like, I don't know, a few years ago or so, or like, yeah. And I remember I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But then I've noticed as well that there are times where it feels like, okay, now I just know it wants to come out. But then again, I feel like I kind of like, you know, thought, okay, it's maybe too much work, or like how to even get like in touch with that. And I just like kind of left it on the side again. And so, yeah, I'm also curious, like how did you kind of like be like, I would say like train that awareness, like how, if you can also like explain, like I'm pretty sure like also other women who are listening, that, you know, to explain a little bit, what did you do, or like how was your process of like really getting in touch with that?
Well, the first thing is that in those bleeding days is super nice if we can be in a place where we can be still, that we can be relaxed, that, you know, that, because if we're like out and about, it's kind of hard to connect with the feeling, because it's just listening to the body. And the feeling is a little bit similar to when we want to pee. Not the same, but it's similar, because it's kind of like in the same area. And the time that you have to go and evacuate is shorter. So it's not like pee, like you can wait half an hour more.
Right.
Right. This one is not so long. You have to go. And the other thing that I start when I start is that I would just kind of like feel, okay, it has been enough time, so now I'm just going to the bathroom. So it's not that I'm feeling it, but I just go and push, and then some blood come out, and then I will, you know, be normal and relaxed, and then maybe 1 hour I kind of try to like go before it comes out, kind of like thing. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So that was my approach. So I would, for what? For not bleeding on my whatever I had, right? A pad or something. I still put a cloth pad just to not, you know, get bloody the whatever else.
Right. Yeah.
In case there's an accident. But my point also is that why I don't want to be washing like 1,000 bloody pads. You know, there's no sense. So I really want for it to be clean, or just with some drops, you know.
Right.
So that's why I was like, okay, I go to the bathroom. And then when you start doing that, then also the pushing, like consciously, then you start like making those fragments of time where you can be relaxed and there's no blood, and then you come again to the bathroom, and then you kind of like that act of also just going and thinking like, okay, I'm pushing the blood out, because we never do that. Right? When we were young, we were just, oh, go to the bathroom, and it's a whole mess. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
I pee and everything at the same time, and it's blood, right? But going to the bathroom and like, okay, blood out. So that is also like our brain is at the same time connecting and doing that consciously. So with time, we will start feeling more and more. How does it feel? It's like, oh, hey, it's just
Right.
like, you know, when there is this
Mm.
like visualization meditations
Mhm,
that they tell
mhm.
you like, okay, think about your fingers or
Yeah.
your eyes and the bones or what, you know. So being aware of that part, it works a lot. So
Right.
when, of course, when we are in our moon, we have to be conscious all the time, like bringing
Mhm,
our awareness to that area of the womb and of course the vagina and everything that, you know, the whole channel,
mhm.
so we can feel everything and it will start being more and more recognizable.
Mm. That's so amazing. And I'm just on my period right now. I'm just bleeding, so I feel like, yeah, it's the perfect time to just really do that and really drop into that. And when you just talk about that, I just feel like it's so empowering. It really is like taking that power back of our own bodies and like our womb, and especially the womb, where we have been so disconnected, and it just
Mm.
feels like, well, it's just there, it's just an organ. But like, no, it's not just an organ. It's like, it's the holy grail, and to really bring back that wisdom and that connection. And when I just what just came up for me when you shared this, I felt like, it's again like with everything else, kind of, like, let's just say, let's say, for example, a bra. Yeah, when putting on a bra, it means like our muscles don't need to do anything. It's like, oh, let's just help us, like, as if we are not capable of doing something, right? And like,
Mhm.
oh, we need help, we need external help. Same
Yeah.
with that. Oh, let's put a pad, so you will not be so, will not be full of blood. But by doing that, it means, oh, I'm just giving away my power. I just have that. I know I'm not going to get messed up. I'm like, no, no, no. Let's take that back into our hands and
Mm.
and connect back to that and say, I am in charge of that, right? And I know that when I am in tune with my body, I can actually, yeah, know. And I
Mhm.
decide when I get to release that also, right? And I feel like that's so empowering. It's like really taking back that power, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
Totally. And other thing that I was thinking about is that we have the shame about it, and
Mm.
we as like more conscient woman, if you say right
Yeah.
now, we're like, oh, don't be ashamed of it. But actually, I found out, or I just thought that that shame is because we are not in control of it. It is same like, I'm not ashamed to tell you, hey, I'm gonna go and pee. I'm not ashamed, but I would be ashamed if we're sitting in I don't know, a reunion and suddenly I pee, they're like, oh, you peed, like what the hell, like, you know what I mean? So it's this, of course it's shame because it's something that is like you're not in
Mm.
control of and everybody
Mm.
can see it. So I thought like, oh yeah, the shame is actually because we're not in control of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it sound like same as other things that are coming out of our bodies?
Right.
So it makes total sense.
Totally. Yeah.
Mhm.
Full of mosquitoes.
And it's like an ant, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, I never thought about that, but it makes sense. Exactly. And I mean, besides all the other shame that like the whole
Yeah,
menstruation already like
yeah.
has with it, but yeah, totally. And so how does it feel? Like you said, like you've been doing that for a couple of years. And so how long did it kind of take for you to, and I guess of course that's different for everyone, but still, like, how long did it take for you, kind of where you said like, oh wow, now I can feel that and I am now, like, yeah, in charge or in control, let's say.
um I would say let me think. Yeah, maybe like 2 years
Mm-hmm.
probably to be conscious
Right.
about the process, and this couple of years that I'm telling you that I'm in charge, then I've
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it's been a long process,
Right. Mm-hmm.
but it's totally worth it
Oh, of
because
course.
if you think in the future, like how many times are we going to menstruate in our lives? So we do have to put in a little bit of work and time to like attune to that. But at the end, like if we learn that, then our lives are gonna be so much easier and like practical, you know, like if we are
Yeah.
aware and we don't have to be worrying so much about that because we are in charge.
Yeah, exactly. That is so true. Yeah, of course. And yeah, I kind of thought that it would take it like a few years, I guess, to, I mean, think about all the years that we have not been in control, like
Exactly.
to reprogram all of that. It's not done in like, oh yeah, in one cycle and then I've got it. No, yeah, it like takes dedication and like really like also the curiosity to wanting to explore and wanting to learn, right? Because it's in the end, it's like it's our own bodies. Like, isn't there anything more like amazing, like to really get in touch with that and wanting to learn and not just like being a victim of ourselves, right? Like no, like being in charge.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so amazing. And so, you know, because also like I've been actually starting to use those reusable pads, like those organic pads, because I mean, of course, when I started, I first used those, you know, disposable ones, and then I used to start with tampons, and oh my God, just the thought of that, like honestly, just like my whole womb just like contract. And then I started using those cups, and also there, it's like my yoni was like, no, enough of just putting all this stuff into me. Like I'm done. Like I don't want any of that. And so yeah, I started to like even just sometimes not use anything, you know, especially if I would be at home alone, you know, just walking around naked or using then a towel or so. Like yeah, I don't that I wouldn't mind. But like yeah, I feel like that's like the next step to just really go into being in control of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same experience with the moon cup. Like I when I was young, I bought one and you know, because it was the thing, like, oh, it is like the sustainable thing, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, I wear it twice and it was like really not pleasant for me. I was like, oh my God, like taking it out, and the whole thing was just such a process.
Oh yeah.
But just the thought of it, I was like, no, hell no. And well, when I was a teenager, many of my friends also used like tampons, but I was just never into sticking something on my vagina. I just never felt good, you know. So I'm glad that the women that use tampons get to have the option that is like a sustainable option, and I'm super glad for, you know, in terms of the planet that they are actually using that. But of course, the whole point would be not to have to use anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a little pad, you know, if we have to like go walk somewhere and we have a little accident, it's fine, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, but the whole, you know, industry of feminine products.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Oh, oh my God. Yeah, and you know, like when I had the first cup I bought, like I was actually traumatized after that, because I think I know I bought the wrong size, because it was like not really well, like, or like I didn't understand like which one I had to buy, so I bought the one too big. And it was so, you know, again, like kind of like my whole body was telling me something is off, but I was like, no, it's probably just how it's supposed to be. And I honestly, I got, for the first time in my life, a urine infection. And it was like the worst. I had never had so much pain in my life. And I even had to take antibiotics because it was so bad. And like I never take any. I was like so like my whole body was like, no, I don't want to take them. But I was in so much pain and I was really suffering. It's like, okay, for once. And then I was traumatized. I was like, oh, how do I, you know, what do I do? You know, and then I actually bought a smaller one, used it for a few times, and I was like, no, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm done with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. and I'm also curious, like, how do you also bleed sometimes in the earth, like when you know, okay, now it's
Yeah,
time, and then you actually also bleed in the earth.
I like that when I have the opportunity to do it, because
Mm,
sometimes we don't have like a a big
yeah.
garden or somewhere that somebody is not gonna see us. But that was kind of like the first years of trying to feel it, and then I would go just in the grass, and
Hmm.
squat and like see the blood in the earth. It's super nice.
Mm,
It's a whole other thing, you feel so connected, and I feel that's the way it should be, right?
mhm,
And also the
mhm.
position.
Yeah,
It's so much easier to push out anything from our bodies to be in a squat.
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's another big one, because also it's this topic about like being comfortable in
Hmm.
whatever is comfortable, but it's actually taken away from us. So
Yeah.
this toilet seats, like in a sitting position, is kind of like taking away all the work. And not only that, but we are not so in touch with everything in that area that is coming out if we're not in that position. So for me, it's much easier, and also visually. Like when
Mm,
you're squatting, you can like check it out, like what's
right.
coming, what's going on, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So that helps a lot also.
Yeah, totally. That's so true.
Probably everyone has a normal toilet seat. I also have a normal one here, but I squat on it. Like I
Yeah,
climb on it
right.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I've heard that. Like, I have never, like, I use usually like a little, like,
like a stool.
exactly,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least that to have like my knees a little bit higher, but like
yeah,
I haven't really like squatted on the toilet like
yeah, yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can
feel
do
like
it.
I'm
You
gonna fall. I don't
have to
know.
be you have to be careful, but I think if we are aware of our bodies,
Yeah,
we can
exactly.
like carefully place it in the,
Mm,
yeah,
exactly.
it helps a lot.
Wow, that's so amazing. Yeah, I just love that. Like, yeah, do you have any like other like advice or anything, like be it about like bleeding or releasing any sort of things?
Well, that's a big one. And also because the thing that we do every day with our bodies is how our bodies are gonna be like for life. So,
Mm,
for example, if you see the old people from the Western world, they cannot squat, they cannot sit in the floor because they're like, oh, like they cannot. And
mm,
here in Indonesia,
right.
they have squatting toilets. So that means that the toilet is like in the ground. It's like the same with the hall, but you just
Yeah.
like step on the ground
Yes.
and squat. And also they have a lot of tradition of sitting on the floor for
Exactly.
receiving visits or for eating and everything. And you can see like 98-year-old guys like squatting and like sitting and getting up from the floor normally. So you can see really literally, if you don't use it, you lose it kind of situation.
Yeah.
And it's so helpful to do that, and to accustom our bodies to do that because it's such a primal position. Like we
Mm.
need that position a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Totally. Yeah, and actually then it goes back also to, to giving birth. Like that is like
Yeah.
also the most, I mean, besides there are obviously also other positions that are comfortable, but like the squatting is like, yeah, because like it's like that's how we want to be. Like we don't want to be lying down with our, like, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's so true. It's like goes completely against our own nature, our own anatomy also, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And that's so true. Like I remember, yeah, like back in Bali, like everyone they just that's just so normal for them. They just sit on the floor and here if being back now here in Europe, it's like wow. They're like, oh no, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's so true. It's because we're like we actually can. We are able to do that and we can also reconnect to that. We just have to like do it. It takes effort, right? And again, same thing with free bleeding. It's just I feel like we're so comfortable with that, to using all these things that kind of like make life more comfortable or easier. And so, but we're actually losing our real capacities, like what we're actually capable of. And yeah,
totally. And our strength and flexibility is not only like, oh, we're more comfortable, but because we're not using those muscles and because we're not being aware of our body, then later on in life, then it's going to be useless at some point.
Exactly. Yeah. So true. And can I ask you, like, how, well, you kind of like said at the beginning, like when you had your period the first time, like how was that experience for you? Like, how has your environment been? And like, yeah, has it been like a beautiful initiation or like a traumatic one? Or how has been your relationship to your bleeding from when you were young?
Yeah. I think it was not traumatic, but it's not beautiful for sure. It's just like something so cold, I feel like from my environments, like, you know, all the girls around that age are like, oh, you got it, yes, or you know, but it was kind of like a curse. It's not like, oh, I got it, I'm so happy. No, it was kind of like, oh yeah, you know, oh, she's got it, oh, poor girl. Kind of thing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I got it pretty young, actually. I was 11. And for me it was like, oh hell no, like 11, you need to give me another year of like of like being free of this. Yeah, it was not pleasant at all. And the approach of my mother, for example, was kind of cold. I feel like it was kind of like, yeah, you know, that happens. Here are the pads, just grab them, you know, and
Yeah.
if you get pain, here are some pills. That's pretty much the end of the story. And if I would like talk with other friends, it's the same story, right? Like it's a very cultural thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was not raised in a conscious environment. I was raised in a normal matrix environment. And in that, it's kind of like, okay, you know, here's how you solve that problem. And
Yeah.
don't tell too many people about it
Yeah.
because it's your problem, kind of. Right. So that
Yeah.
was my experience.
Mm.
And I will take pills
Mm.
many years of my life
Yeah.
because of course it was painful.
Yeah.
And well, you cannot have pain to go to school, and so I just take pills and just suck it up, kind of thing. And then when I was around 22, you know, when all my awakening kind of start happening slowly, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna take pills anymore. This is not useful. And then I have to like endure a lot of pain after
Yeah.
that decision, you know. And all my family members were like, but why, you're so stupid, like if you have pain, just take a pill. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, you don't understand. I'm trying
Exactly.
to like understand why I have pain, and I'm trying to feel it and listen to it.
Yes.
And so I just have to do that. And it's, you know, it's been a long journey. Oh my god, like a long one with that, like almost like 10 years of like I never had a painless period, never.
Yeah.
In all those years, of course, in the years where I don't take pills, which is almost 10. And just now, you know, the last year, kind of I've been feeling a little bit more relaxed into it. Of course I get a little bit pain, but thing is coming down. But
Yeah.
it just takes so long, you know. And I just feel that it's my commitment to not giving that power away to anything else. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you come and fix my problem. Well, that's, you know, hopefully other women can find it faster than me, but it's, yeah, it takes so long. But now I'm
Yeah.
finally landing in a place of like, okay, I get it. You know, I, of course, I feel also that she is calling us to be still and to
Exactly.
be, you
Yeah.
know, so I'm kind of like surrendering also into that, and that helps a lot. Just like, okay, moon time, I'm just gonna be chill in my bed because that's what it calls me to do.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of my journey, because the
Mm.
bleeding is one thing, but the pain is another thing, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I find it, but I find it so actually beautiful, like, because I've also had like always very, very painful periods. And, when a teenager, of course, then the magic pill arrived, and that apparently solves all the problems. And I mean, I myself have been then on a pill for like 11 years. And when I was like, no, enough, like I don't do that anymore. And then but I was afraid of actually stop taking it because I was afraid of the pain,
Yeah.
because I also had horrific pains. And at first, then I just took something because I really thought I'm gonna die. And but it's so beautiful, like to see, like the more I started to connect with my womb and with my cycles, that it started to become less and less. And now, like, yeah, well, yesterday was, for example, one of these days. It's always the first day, but then it was like, like half an hour to an hour of like really bad pain. But I was like, I'm like, I'm taking it all in. Like I am like, yeah, I'm here to listen, and I breathe into that. I move whatever needs to move. I cry whatever needs to happen. And there's so much wisdom in that. And it's like you say, it just asks you to go within and just be with yourself and not do anything. And also that notion of thinking that we need to be doing, right, even though we're bleeding. Like, yeah, we can do everything bleeding. Yeah, of course we can, but that's not what our bodies are asking us to do. And so, like, to really just surrender into that. And yeah, I feel like it holds so much wisdom, that pain, right? Mm.
Yeah, and it takes us into really deep places of ourselves to just
Mm.
lay there and feel it,
Yeah.
because that was my process, and I was like really, really like feeling a lot of pain, and people around you want to help you, like, oh no, just take it. I was like, no, it's just leave
Mm-hmm.
me alone, and it's hard, but it's kind of like our own connection with our own body, of course we don't want pain, but
Mm.
there's a reason why it's there. And I do feel what you're saying, which is that the more I sit with it and like allow it and like feel it, the gentle it is with me. Every moon is kind of like a little bit more gentle. I still
Mm.
have pain, but it's much more manageable than a few
Exactly.
years back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, also, like, knowing, like, I feel like, I don't know if that's even like it's a thing to not have anything at all, but I feel like because there's obviously something going on, and like you
Yeah.
can feel that. And I feel like that's also in a way beautiful to see. Yeah, like, wow, there's my womb and does all of that. And I think it's just amazing, right? Like to see what she does. Mm. And to feel it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's a whole thing of awareness, Probably she's hurting because nobody listens to her or something.
Exactly. Yes,
Right.
exactly. And yeah, totally. And it's not just our own, it's like our whole ancestral, like the feminine ancestral lineages that, wow, it feels like you're bleeding or like feeling the pain for all of them, right? And so
Mm,
it's so
mm.
healing. It's, yeah, like when we actually then give ourselves the space and time to listen and to feel into that, we can transmute so much and heal so much, I believe. Mm.
Yeah, totally. It's a totally special time also for us, It's like a gift actually that we have of like, okay, I'm out of the world. You figure it out. How cool, no?
Exactly.
That we have like an excuse to like, no, I'm out.
Exactly. Yes,
It's so nice.
yes.
We need it as women, as all that we do, like mentally, energetically, emotionally. We're
Mm.
like really powerful, I feel, and we need to like a time of like not doing anything to restore.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. What a blessing it is. And actually, when I'm just a little bit curious if you would like to share a little bit more about when you said like around 22 or so, you had like more of like an awakening, like what happens if you want to share? I'm really curious.
Well, when I was a little bit before that, when I was teenage, I was more into like city kind of vibes, like alcohol and parties and drugs and all of that.
Excuse me, sorry, you grew up in Bogota, wasn't it? No.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, of course, I was looking for all of that, but then I started smoking weed, and this plant kind of like took me out of that scenarios and into nature, kind of like into appreciating nature and like being in awe of like beauty of nature. And then because she takes me out of that, then I slowly, when I was 19, I stopped smoking because I smoked cigarettes when I was a teenager. And then when I was 18, a little bit before, I stopped drinking and all of these like, things that kind of like trapped us in that wheel.
Yeah.
I stopped, right? And then that alone was a whole like new path. And then when I was 22, then I tried for the first time ayahuasca, or in Colombia is jahe. And then these kind of like really, really helped me to see things in a new perspective and to heal and, to start being aware of like who we are and what are we doing here. Kind of like a really profound journey. But it's not like it was like, in one day or something. It was just, I said around that age because it's kind of like the midpoint when I was like already clearly going to another direction.
Yeah.
But it's been many years of like slowly.
Of course, yeah.
Changing chips.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's a process, right? It's an ongoing process in the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you ended up in Bali. How long have you been now in Bali for?
I know. Probably almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh.
Yeah, I'm super grateful because it's kind of like the bubble out of the matrix. And you can be yourself and everybody's like, yeah, we get you. The other side, we're like kind of like, no, where am I?
Yeah, totally. Oh, I hear you. Yeah, I kind of miss Bali. But at the same time, it's like, no, it's okay. It feels good too, like I feel like that the real challenge is also like, can I be myself, the crazy me in this? Like, wow, that's like fuck. But
and it's a work. Like I feel that we need to like build ourselves and then go out there and like share it with people, because that's the whole point, like
yes
I'm not gonna stay here forever. It's just like how it has been. But of course, like part of the journey is to go and share it and like
yes, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and talking about sharing, like you also have a YouTube channel, right? Where you kind of like share a lot of amazing information. Like you want to talk a little bit about that? Like would you share as well?
Sure. So this channel is in Spanish for now. Because I feel that the Spanish speaking people needs more of like these figures to listen to. In English, I feel there's more. And my channel is called Free and Natural, and that means that I'm just talking about like daily life things. Of course, what we talk about today is one part of that because that's part of our lives, like natural part of our lives. And this really transversal topic about the being comfortable and how like unpractical that is. in terms of like so many things that surround our lives are like actually making us feel bad, like making us sick. So many things because we think it's easier, because everybody does it.
Right.
It's just like shaping our lives in a wrong direction. So what I'm doing in the channel is just taking one at a time kind of topic and just talking about that. Like, hey, let's talk about this today. Like this thing about the bathroom. Could be, it's this. It could sound like really simple, but it's actually really important because there's the thing that you do every day. And that's the thing that it actually builds how our life looks like, you know? So that's my approach to it. Like the things that are part of every human life and how have we gone wrong and how can we just adopt a more supportive and natural way of being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you see like that, because I'm pretty sure like people get back to you, right? And like, can you like how has their feedback been? Like, have there really been people that then really start doing that? Because I feel like
Oh yeah.
sometimes, right. Sorry if I asked, because I just feel like sometimes it's like we're so comfortable in that like really doing an effort, it's like, nah, I just prefer staying in that comfortable place, right? So yeah, but what has been your experience?
Well, the feedback has been really positive because I'm also into, like, I'm very like intellectual kind of person, so I don't make a change if I'm not completely sure and have all the arguments and all the reasons
Right.
why I should make it. So that's what I'm sharing, like, okay, let's talk about this. And it's like, hey, but if you make this position, then your body is going to eliminate better and you're going to use your muscles and you're not going to grow old and blah, 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 so all of these like arguments that are really strong and really true. And that has the ability to change people's minds of like, oh, but this is comfortable, but actually in the long term doesn't make sense.
Right.
So as far as for now, I have a very good feedback, and of course there's people who are like, oh my god, like where were you all my life, like all the videos, you changed my life. Like, of course, because it's the daily life, like how we shift everything. And the occasional hater or the occasional misplaced person, of course, but in general has been really positive, and I'm really happy about that because it's not about me really. Channel, I'm just borrowing myself for like helping people to just detach from so much dependence on so many things,
Right.
so many products, and people are always like complaining, especially in countries like mine. They're complaining about the money. There's not enough money for this, for that. And I'm like, right, but let's see what you buy in the supermarket, and there's like a whole lot of products, and it's like the normal thing. I mean, everybody buys them. I'm not talking about someone who is over consumption. Is no, it's just the random normal dude is buying so much things that are unnecessary. And I'm like, look, go and see my bathroom. Like I have like 3 things with no label, So that's really my thing, is to just like put myself out there as a way to relieve Mother Nature's pressure that we're putting on her to creating all these products and things, and like that we really don't need.
Exactly.
People wasting their money on them. So it's like it's just not making sense in any way. So that's why I'm like, okay, I need to really share and say all of these things so the planet can be better, we can be better, and get out of that bad dream.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I think it's in the end is that just going back to the basics, but also like by that, I don't mean like, refusing anything, everything, but just seeing, okay, what makes sense and what is completely unnecessary, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, it's both, because we have invented many amazing things. I'm not gonna like,
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
let's go back to the cave.
No,
No,
exactly. Yeah.
but we can be as smart as like, okay, let's
Mm.
make nice things, but we don't need all these things, especially if they're contaminating and
Yeah,
giving us like
exactly.
our money. Like, it's like we have to be smarter than we are
Mm.
being right now.
Exactly. And I mean, we have the potential. It's just
Of
like,
course, we have the capability, of
exactly.
course,
It's like just remembering also, like knowing our worth and our potential. Yeah, totally.
and
So
our
true.
independence, our sovereignty. It's like, see a
Mm-hmm.
cat. Is he
Exactly.
is he going and buying products for her shiny hair? No, like he has a shiny hair, period. Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
uh,
totally.
so we are also designed for being healthy and
Mm-hmm.
oh, good looking all the time. We're just like need to
Exactly.
align with what is actually for us, and
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen effortlessly.
Yeah, totally. That is so true. Yeah, beautiful. Wow. And is there anything else you would like to say about we kind of like went from free bleeding to other things, which is beautiful. And because I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like I would have actually loved to talk more and more about like a lot of other topics that you share because I feel like they're so inspiring. Um so but yeah, like do you have anything else you want to share, like maybe about the bleeding or maybe about something else that you just really feel like it's yeah that you want to share with all the listeners? Mm.
I just feel that what I would like to share from me is like the motivation. If our motivation is to be in tune with Mother Earth,
Mm.
then we're gonna end up in the right place.
Mm.
We have to take her into account in our decisions,
Yeah.
and that's it. Actually, that's pretty
Mm.
much it. But
Mm.
it's a big responsibility because today so many things that they offer us are like counter to her. So
Mm.
we have to really be mindful of our choices and be mindful of our actions, of our words, and then we will end up in the right place if we actually tune in with her. She will take care of us.
Mm. Yeah, that's so beautifully said. Mm. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we're actually also like already coming almost to an hour. And
Mhm.
wow, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom. And again, like I feel like there's so many things I would have liked to touch on, but I also didn't want to like go too much like somewhere else. But yeah, maybe for another time. Or also like
Yeah,
if
we
you
can
want,
spend the
yeah.
time
Mm-hmm.
with another topic.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. And also, if you want to share maybe your social media and your YouTube channel for those who do speak Spanish.
For the people who speak Spanish, the channel is called Libre y Natural. And for anyone who wants to just connect with me in Instagram, is a free natural woman and is separated with this dash,
Hmm.
like lower dashes.
Hmm. Perfect. Yeah, and I'm gonna put it anyways in the description also so you can have it. Like I'm also gonna put your YouTube channel. Yeah. So
Right.
make sure like everyone will get to the right place. Anyone who's interested in knowing more about, yeah, just living free and naturally. And that's just, yeah, like just your name and that's who you are. And yeah, and I really appreciate that you are not just talking about that, but you're like really embodying that. And that's, you're living that. You're not just sharing something to share, but it really comes from that deep lived experience and yeah, and your own wisdom. So yeah, thank you so much for that, for all you
Thank
do
you
in the
for
world.
having me, Letty. Thank you for having me and for your work as well. We're
Hmm.
just helping each other to like lift consciousness.
Exactly. That's why we came here for, I guess, in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Adri, for being there.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
yeah, and thank you everyone for listening. And yeah, we'll talk in another episode. Bye bye.